It was 30 years ago that the Texas Parks and Wildlife television series, originally known as Made in Texas, got its start. To celebrate this milestone, we're taking a look back at some of the interesting stories and unique characters that we've discovered over the past 3 decades. In 1986, we looked at the status and the future of the desert bighorn sheep.
I would like to see them like they used to be when I was a young girl.
Many people have never seen a desert bighorn. Though there are still a few viable populations in the United States, their numbers are rapidly declining. In the West Texas mountains, the population once numbered more than 1,000. They adapted to one of the harshest environments, where only the most robust survive. Today, there are no native bighorns left in Texas. Why? The answer is entwined in a combination of factors. West Texas was a barren and remote land, wild and untamed, inaccessible to most, until the late 1800s, when the railroad began pushing its way west, opening this savage land to settlers and commercial venturers. The railroad cut a path right through the heart of bighorn country. With it came the dreams and hopes to tame this wild land. Soon, the mountains began to offer a profit to ranchers and market hunters, who took bighorn, deer, and antelope out of the mountains and sent them east in refrigerated railroad cars. The railroad, the ranchers, and now the hunters began to take their toll. Uncontrolled hunting played only a minor role in the demise of the bighorn. In fact, in 1903, Texas prohibited the hunting of bighorn, but this had a minimal impact on their survival. What dealt the final decisive blow was the ranching of domestic sheep. Not only did the bighorn have to compete for forage, they also had to fight parasites and diseases brought in by domestic sheep. Although bighorns had developed the ability to adapt to the harsh desert environment, their natural immune systems were not able to combat these deadly new diseases. By 1941, the total estimated population of Texas bighorns was less than 150. The last sighting in 1960 counted 2 ewes in the Sierra Diablo Mountains. The demise of the desert bighorns in Texas did not go unnoticed. The state of Texas, aware of the rapid decline in bighorn numbers, began taking action in 1945 when they established the first refuge. The Sierra Diablo Wildlife Management Area was established for the restoration of desert bighorn sheep.
Restoration and working with desert bighorn sheep, it's an expensive process. It takes an inordinate commitment of both manpower and funds. It became evident to me a number of years ago that we needed some outside help. I went to Dr. Red Duke of Houston and approached him to organize a private organization which has developed into the Texas Bighorn Society.
And my idea was that we would just raise money to help them do whatever it was they wanted to do. And that's build the brood pastures right out here. And we did.
And after an investment of 7 months and more than 3 miles of fence, the project was completed at a cost of $102,000. In 1983, the Texas Bighorn Society donated the brood facility to the state of Texas. The Sierra Diablo Wildlife Management Area became the next site of an intensive restoration effort for desert bighorns. Texas Parks and Wildlife reached a trade-out agreement with the Nevada Department of Wildlife for the acquisition of sheep. The capture and release of sheep is a very delicate operation and must be handled with the utmost care.
Yeah, there's
Thank you,
one
sir.
right here.
Slide it over there. I have an adult.
I'll hold
You.
The crews carefully secured and controlled the sheep. They blindfolded the sheep to prevent them from being terrified and carried them to boats ready to transport them across Lake Mead to waiting trucks where their journey to Texas would begin. 27 hours later, they arrived at the Sierra Diablo facility. The sheep were carefully unloaded, and after proper inoculations and tagging, they were released into the brood pastures. In all, the project stocked 4 pens with 23 ewes and 8 rams from Arizona, Nevada, Utah, and wild sheep from prior releases in the Sierra Diablo Mountains. Supporters' motives for restoring bighorns are often criticized because many are avid sports hunters who might have hunted bighorns.
There's a lot of people think that the members of society, since we're spending our time and effort and money out here to try to bring the sheep back, that we want to bring them back just to hunt them and kill them. But that's not really the case, because the sheep are to a point to where if we're successful in all of our efforts, we'll probably never have a huntable population in any of our lifetime.
The sport hunter is not only responsible for the restoration of Texas bighorns, but also for supporting most of our wildlife resources. Yet what comes into question is the fact that this endangered Texas species is still classified as a big game animal. The project goal is to restore the population back to huntable numbers, but why bother to revive the species, only to designate it a big game animal?
Our goal with any endangered species is to restore it back to a viable population. I think, considering the fact that this program has been supported since 1954 with hunters' dollars from the sale of hunting licenses and federal aid on hunting supplies, guns and ammunition, I think it's only fair that our objective be to provide a return to the people that are supporting the program, which would be a huntable population.
The public has to realize this is their wildlife. It is not the property of the Parks and Wildlife Department. We're merely your servants. If the public doesn't care, wildlife conservation will suffer.
Although the plight of the desert bighorn is still uncertain, if the tenacity and commitment of its supporters is any indication, then desert bighorns have a promising future in Texas.
For them not to be in the mountains, I don't think it would be right to the North American people.